Well, listen, let's just take a moment here because this is so important, and honestly, it's something your heart already knows. It's a message that needs to be whispered gently to that sensitive, quiet part of you. Not everyone who walks into the beautiful, sacred space of your life was truly sent there for your highest good. No, they weren't. And that's a hard truth, isn't it? It feels like a betrayal of trust almost. But the truth, the deeper, more profound truth, is that some people, some relationships, some connections, they were placed there not by a loving, guiding hand, but as distractions. Just imagine that for a second. Distractions. Things designed to take your eyes off the map, off the prize, off the quiet, gentle path that is specifically meant for you. And well, maybe you've been feeling it. Maybe you've been walking around with this heavy, confusing feeling in your spirit and you couldn't quite name it. Perhaps you thought you were just being dramatic or too emotional, or maybe you were even blaming yourself. But if you're seeing the subtle, undeniable signs we're about to talk about, then so maybe, just maybe, this is the universe, or God, or spirit, or whatever word feels right in your soul, telling you with all the tenderness it can muster, it's time to let them go. It's time to create that space, that quiet, healing emptiness that allows the right things to flow in. Now, let's talk about the very first and maybe the most crucial sign. It's about the feeling, the atmosphere, the vibration that a person brings into your world. We're talking about constant confusion and no peace. Think of your heart, your inner world, as this beautiful, sun-drenched, quiet room. It's meant to be a sanctuary, a place where you can hear your own thoughts, where you can feel that calm, steady pulse of knowing. But what happens when a certain person shows up? Well, the room suddenly becomes loud, doesn't it? The lights start flickering and there's this low, constant hum of unease. Just that feeling. That's the signal. One of the absolute first and most undeniable signs that someone may be meant to move out of your life story is this constant confusion. You find yourself questioning everything. Your motives, their motives, the conversation you just had, the text message you just read. There's this nagging sense of being unsettled. And that is not a coincidence. That is a red flag waving fiercely in the wind of your spirit. So why is peace so important here? Because, my dear friend, the source of all true guidance, the source of all love and light is not the author of chaos. Never. That beautiful, divine intelligence is the author of peace. Pure, unadulterated, soothing peace. Just remember that. If every single time, and I mean every time, you are around this person or even anticipating being around them, you feel this overwhelming sense of being drained, of being profoundly anxious, or simply unsettled, know this. That is not from a place of love and alignment. That is a disturbance, a spiritual static that is interrupting your signal. The ancient wisdom, the profound and timeless truth, reminds us, for God is not a God of confusion but of peace. And this isn't just a religious phrase, it's a deep psychological truth. It means that healthy, nurturing, soul-aligned connections should bring a measure of clarity and calmness to your life. They should feel like a soft place to land. But when the very presence of someone consistently and relentlessly robs you of your peace, when it steals that beautiful stillness from your inner sanctuary, it is highly likely that this is the universe, or God, or your own soul, showing you, quite plainly, that they are not meant to stay. They have fulfilled their lesson, and it is time for them to move on so you can have your quiet room back. So what happens next is you start to pay attention. The unseen forces of darkness, of doubt, of distraction, they often use people who seem nice, people who seem connected, to create that distraction in your life. But the beautiful, loving hand of protection gives you discernment to protect you. Discernment is your inner radar. It's that little voice, that gut feeling, that moment of resistance in your heart. Just listen to it. Pay attention to how your spirit feels. It's not about what they say, it's about what you feel when they're near. Your deep internal unease may not be a flaw in your personality. It may, in fact, be the very clear, very specific warning sign you have been praying for. You asked for clarity, and here it is, delivered not in a booming voice, but in the quiet, persistent feeling of, something is not right here. Don't dismiss that sacred inner voice. That discomfort is your soul's firewall. And so, that insight is your advantage. If you realize that this feeling of unease is the psychological blueprint for your own protection, then like this video right now. By liking it, you are activating this truth in your subconscious and taking back control of your inner world. If this feeling of drained confusion is ringing true in your heart, it's time to stop minimizing your own pain. You are the only one who can protect your inner peace. Let this be the moment you stand up for your sanctuary. If you are ready to choose peace over person, affirm this declaration in the comments right now. My peace is non-negotiable. Writing it down is a promise to yourself, a commitment to that beautiful, quiet room in your soul. And that brings us, quite naturally, to the second sign, a feeling that often goes hand in hand with the first. It's the feeling of constant strain and a heavy burden. When it is time for someone to gently exit your life, when the divine plan is shifting them out of your direct path, the relationship itself starts to change its very nature. At first, maybe it felt exciting, like a beautiful adventure, a source of light. But after a while, and you know this feeling, it starts to feel less like a blessing and more like a constant, draining weight. Like you are carrying their luggage, their problems, and their emotional turmoil, all while trying to walk your own journey. So think about what a true, healthy, aligned relationship should do. It should feel like a spring tide. It should lift you up. It should inspire you. It should be a place where you feel built up, encouraged, seen, and celebrated. But with this person, the dynamic has fundamentally flipped. Instead of building you up, they drain you. It's like they have a leak in their own energy reservoir, and they are constantly siphoning yours off to stay afloat. And then you are left feeling hollowed out, empty, and exhausted. What's more, a soul-aligned connection should always be pushing you in the direction of your highest self, closer to your purpose, closer to your spiritual center. But these distracting connections, they do the opposite. Instead of pushing you closer to God, they pull you further away. Perhaps they encourage habits that don't serve you. Perhaps their constant negativity makes it hard for you to maintain a positive, spiritual outlook. Perhaps the sheer drama they create takes up all the time you used to spend in quiet reflection or prayer. You were running a good race, weren't you? But now, you feel slowed down, entangled, exhausted. Just listen to the words of the great teacher. Jesus didn't say, "My yoke is heavy and my burden is crushing." No, he said with such profound, gentle truth, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And that's a metaphor, isn't it? It's a metaphor for alignment. When you are moving in alignment with your true path, with the love and grace that is meant for you, your journey should feel manageable, even joyful, even in the midst of challenges. It should not feel like an uphill slog through mud every single day. However, if someone's presence in your life continually feels heavy, utterly exhausting, or overtly toxic, if it's just one drama after another, one crisis after another, and you are always the one holding the pieces together, you have to ask yourself, is this alignment with the divine plan for my life? And the answer, my dear, is probably a resounding no. Simply put, relationships that come from a place of true spiritual guidance from the light, they bring peace, growth, and clarity. They don't bring endless, soul-crushing drama and confusion. So that's why you're feeling this heaviness. And you know, sometimes the heaviness you're experiencing isn't just simple emotional fatigue. No, it's something deeper. It's spiritual. It's the weight of carrying an energetic load that was never meant for your shoulders. And the universe, or God, or your own internal wisdom is trying to give you a powerful message. It's time to release that burden before it utterly breaks you. You don't have to carry it. You are allowed to set it down. You are allowed to walk away from the things that are dragging your soul toward the earth. But this is just the beginning. If you want to dive deeper into the hidden spiritual mechanics of relationship alignment and keep revealing the truths that protect your purpose, then subscribe now to grant yourself access to that essential, next-level knowledge. You are not weak for feeling exhausted. You are carrying a burden that was never yours to hold. But today, you realize that the weight is not yours, it's the shadow of misalignment. When you are ready to finally release that spiritual burden and walk into true lightness, let me know. Declare your freedom in the comments by writing, "I release the weight." Let those words be the sound of your spirit finally breathing again. And anyway, let's pivot now to the next sign, which is perhaps the most visceral and the most connected to your deepest inner self. This is the one you can't argue away with logic. It is one of the strongest, most undeniable signs of all. It is when your spirit just doesn't sit right with someone. At first, you try to rationalize it. You say, well, they're nice enough, or they haven't actually done anything wrong, or I must just be overly sensitive. But deep down, there is this persistent, unsettling whisper. You can't always explain it in a logical, step-by-step way to your friends or your therapist, but you know in the quiet core of your being that something just feels fundamentally off. It's like a wrong note in a beautiful piece of music. It just jars your entire system. And here is the profound truth we need to remember. That inner discomfort is not paranoia. It is often the Holy Spirit, or the voice of your higher self, or the wisdom of your ancestors speaking directly to you. It is a gift. Just think about that. You were given this incredible internal guidance system for a reason. So what happens next is you have to learn to trust it above all else. The spiritual truth tells us that the Spirit of truth comes to guide you into all the truth. That means your feeling, your gut reaction, that prickle of unease, that's not an accident. God gives you discernment for a reason. That internal compass is there so that you can quickly and accurately recognize when a person's presence is actively dangerous to your most important treasures, your peace or your purpose. It's your internal spiritual security system. So that's why if every single time you're around them, your spirit feels restless, agitated, or simply shut down, please, my love, don't ignore it. Don't try to be nicer or more accommodating to suppress that feeling. Perhaps that feeling of unease is not a flaw in you. It may be the purest form of protection you've ever known. The true guiding spirit will never, ever lead you into a place of confusion, dread, or spiritual compromise. No. It will always lead you into truth, into clarity, and into alignment. Your spirit's feeling is the loudest, clearest confirmation you need that this connection is not aligned with your destiny. And that is a powerful thing to acknowledge. You have the answer inside you. This is the psychological advantage. Knowing that your gut feeling is your highest form of intelligence gives you power. If you are ready to start trusting that internal guidance system above all else, tap the like button to seal that commitment to your discernment. Well, so we've talked about the quiet signals, haven't we? The feeling of confusion, the weight that shouldn't be yours, and that undeniable whisper in your spirit. But now, we need to talk about the actions, the tangible proof that this connection is actively working against your highest, most beautiful blueprint. This is where the purpose part comes in, and this is where the stakes feel so high, just because your destiny is precious. Perhaps this is the clearest sign of all, the one that cuts right to the heart of why you are here, why you woke up this morning, why you have breath in your lungs. This sign is when someone consistently pulls you away from your spiritual center, away from God, instead of pushing you closer to Him. Just imagine yourself standing on a running track. You were running a good race, weren't you? You had momentum, you had focus, you felt that burning fire for your calling. But then this person shows up and they seem to stand right in your lane. They become a constant source of drag. So what happens next? You slow down, you veer off course. This isn't just coincidence, you know. This is a form of spiritual warfare, a subtle sabotage of your soul's mission. And the worst part, it often happens through small, gentle erosions of your boundary, your focus. Maybe they encourage compromise in areas you know you shouldn't bend. Maybe they feed into your weakest moments, tempting you back toward old, destructive habits you fought so hard to leave behind. Or maybe they just keep you so incredibly, relentlessly distracted, with drama, with complaints, with their own needs, that your spiritual growth doesn't just slow down, it grinds to a complete stop. Think about it. When you are aligned, your prayer life is strong, your focus is sharp, and your heart burns bright with purpose. But when the wrong people are in your life, you'll start to notice the opposite. Your prayer life weakens. You keep hitting snooze on that quiet time you promised yourself. Your focus drifts endlessly onto trivial matters, onto the next drama, onto their needs. And that beautiful fire you had for your spiritual journey for God, it begins to dim. It just dims. And for a moment, let's be deeply honest with ourselves. That is not what the divine wants for you. The divine, the loving creator, wants you running full speed, unhindered, shining brightly. So as a result, God, in his deep, protective love, often starts to remove distractions so you can finally run freely toward your calling. He is clearing the path not because he is punishing you, but because he is preparing you. He is saying, I have something immense for you, but you can't carry that weight and hold this person's hand at the same time. But why? Why are certain people such profound distractions? Well, sometimes their purpose in your life was only to teach you about boundaries, about compromise, about where you draw the line. And once that lesson is learned, their season is over. However, if you keep trying to keep them in the picture, you are actively choosing the distraction over the destiny. You are choosing the entanglement over the freedom. You are choosing the detour over the main road. And that is a choice you make, but your soul is constantly warning you. This way leads to stagnation. Furthermore, if your fire for God, for your purpose, for your spiritual healing, is the first thing that gets sacrificed when this person is around, then the universe is giving you the clearest possible message. This connection is not a bridge, it's a roadblock. It's not just a choice, it's survival. Your destiny requires distance from anything that diminishes your light. You must protect that sacred fire. You must. You've just unlocked a massive psychological insight. The true threat is not the drama, but the distraction from your mission. Hit the like button if you are choosing to prioritize your calling and finally refuse the bait of petty entanglements. Anyway, let's talk about a sign that often feels like pure pain in the moment, but which is often the most profound act of love and intervention. We call it the divine no, or the idea that rejection is often redirection. Another clear sign that someone's season in your life is ending is when rejection keeps showing up around that specific relationship. And I mean rejection in the broadest sense. Perhaps no matter how hard you try to make it work, no matter how many compromises you make, how much effort you pour into fixing the unfixable, things just don't work out. Think about it. You try to schedule time together and plans fall through repeatedly. You try to have a deep, meaningful conversation and communication breaks down into confusion or silence. Opportunities for partnership or moving forward dry up inexplicably. It's like an invisible hand keeps nudging things apart. You feel this constant pushback, this spiritual resistance. At first it feels like bad luck, doesn't it? It feels like you failed. It feels like you are the one who is lacking. But however, sometimes this isn't bad luck at all. Sometimes it is the most beautiful, most compassionate form of divine intervention. It's the universe stepping in and gently, or sometimes forcefully, saying, "This door is closed." There's a powerful truth that tells us, what he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. And this is the spiritual mechanic at work right here. When the divine is protecting you, when he knows that keeping this person close will ultimately damage your path or your heart, he will allow rejection to redirect you. So this is where everything begins to shift in your understanding. The pain you feel in the moment, the sting of the separation, the sadness over the fading dream of what that relationship could have been, that pain is real. It's valid. But that very pain, that closure, is often the absolute proof that a loving force is clearing the wrong people from your path. So what happens next? By allowing that rejection, by accepting that no, you are creating the necessary vacuum so that the right blessings, the aligned connections, the people meant to lift and sustain you, can finally flow into your life. You cannot pour new, clean water into a cup that is already full of old, stagnant water. You must empty it first. The rejection, even though it hurts, is the emptying process. It's not just a choice, it's survival. You see, the pain of rejection is temporary, but the damage of staying in an unaligned connection is soul-deep and permanent. Sometimes, silence says it all. The silence of their fading importance, the silence of plans that never materialize, that is the universe's loud confirmation that this chapter is ending. Trust the gentle closure, even when it's painful. It is the signature of protection. The pain of letting go is real, but the truth you've seen is even stronger. You recognize that the universe isn't rejecting you, it's redirecting you. If you know that every painful no has been a divine yes to your purpose, declare that truth in the comments. Affirm, rejection is my redirection. This is you trusting the process, even when it hurts. And for the moment, let's turn our attention to the persistent nature of guidance. Because the divine is merciful, yes, but he is also clear. We are talking about the repeated warnings. When it's truly time for someone to be removed from your life, when the connection has become detrimental and you need to move on, the loving source rarely does it without warning. No, you are given chance after chance to see the truth. Just think about the times you've ignored that inner voice. Perhaps you've noticed those glaring red flags, those undeniable indicators that something is off. Or perhaps you've had these vivid, clear dreams that keep showing you the danger, the compromise, the betrayal. Furthermore, maybe you've received the same clear, consistent advice from people you trust, your closest, wisest friends, a mentor, or a family member, people who can see the situation clearly because they aren't wearing your heart. But you keep ignoring it, don't you? You keep rationalizing, minimizing, and trying to patch up the broken edges, saying, "It will get better," or "I can fix them." However, the ancient texts warn us, whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. And that is a stark warning. It's not about punishment, it's about the natural consequence of ignoring the truth. So that's why you have to understand. The divine is incredibly merciful, patient, and loving, but he is also utterly clear about what serves your soul. If the same exact issues keep surfacing again and again, if they keep causing the same damage, the same confusion, the same pain, that is a warning. If your spirit keeps getting that persistent, gentle, unmistakable nudge, that feeling of, "I need to step back," that is a warning. If the wise counsel from those you respect keeps confirming the same truth, then that is an echo of the divine speaking. Do not brush it off. Because of that single choice to ignore the warnings, you leave yourself vulnerable to greater pain. Meanwhile, every time you choose to stay, the universe makes the warnings louder. The issues get bigger. The discomfort becomes more acute. Eventually, you will be forced to make a choice because the situation will become unbearable. He always knew that you needed protection. The repeated warnings are not the universe being cruel. They are the universe trying to save you from a hard fall. They are a loving attempt to protect you before greater damage is done. So, listen to the quiet, insistent voice before it has to resort to screaming. Your destiny, your peace, is worth the difficult decision to finally heed the warning. It is your time to acknowledge the truth you already know. This clarity is your shield. You now see that ignoring the repeated pattern is the biggest mistake. If recognizing this pattern gives you the strength to break the cycle, then like this video as a final declaration that you are listening to the truth. If you've realized you've been ignoring repeated warnings, but you are finally ready to listen to that inner, protective voice, it's time to take action. You are not alone in this difficult decision. Type, "I heed the warning" in the comments below. Let this be your public commitment to yourself that you will stop rationalizing and start prioritizing your soul's safety. Well, so we've navigated the tricky waters of confusion, the draining weight, the internal warning system, the clarity of divine redirection, and the persistence of ignored flags. Now, we come to the final, critical indicators. The moment you realize that some connections are actively preventing the next great chapter of your life from even starting. This is where we talk about momentum and the beautiful, undeniable return of peace. Just imagine for a moment that your life is a beautiful river. It's meant to flow, isn't it? To move forward, to expand, to rush toward the sea of your destiny. But then you notice something, the current slows. It becomes sluggish. You feel stuck. You're in the same place you were last year, doing the same things, having the same arguments, repeating the same cycles. This is a profound sign. When the divine is trying to remove someone from your life's inner circle, you will often notice that your life stops moving forward in the areas that matter most, spiritually, emotionally, and even in terms of your goals and ambitions. You feel stuck. That's the most descriptive word for it, isn't it? Just a profound sense of inertia. And why is that? Well, it's because some people, despite how much you might care for them or how long they've been around, are in essence spiritual roadblocks. They are anchors that prevent your ship from sailing. As long as they are close, as long as you are actively entangled in their energy, their issues, or their lower vibrations, you simply cannot step into what the divine has next for you. The next blessing, the next level of clarity, the next season of growth, it's all being held up by this one entanglement. The deep wisdom tells us with such clarity, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And for a moment, stop and read that again. We often think the hindrance is a bad habit, or a lack of discipline, or some character flaw within ourselves. But however, sometimes the hindrance is not a thing, it's a person. It's a connection that has passed its expiration date and is now actively holding you captive to the past. So what happens next is you have to start identifying these hindrances. If you notice that being around them actively keeps you from praying, or it keeps you from growing into the mature, healthy person you are meant to be, or most critically, it keeps you repeating the same cycles of pain and self-sabotage, then you have received your answer. This could change everything. Because of that single choice to stay, you sacrifice your forward motion. Your destiny is calling you into a space of greater light, greater responsibility, and greater peace. But that new space requires a higher vibration. It requires distance from the things that are dragging you down. Perhaps the divine is showing you, with all the love in the world, that your destiny is not meant to be shared with them. Your destiny requires distance. You have to choose to cut the anchor line to move into the future. It's not about being cruel. It's about choosing survival and forward motion. This is the breakthrough insight. If you realize that freedom is only found by cutting the anchor of certain relationships, like this video, to claim that psychological freedom and step into the flow of your destiny. And finally, in the end, there is the beautiful, irrefutable sign that confirms everything. This is the moment where your heart gets its proof. This is peace returning when they leave. At first, the separation, the distance, the quiet ending may sting. It feels like a wound, doesn't it? There might be a brief period of deep loneliness or sadness or even second-guessing. But then quickly something miraculous happens. Moments later, the heaviness lifts, just like a physical weight being taken off your chest. Your shoulders relax. You start breathing deeply again. The noise in your head quiets down. This lifting is not coincidence. This is confirmation. The truth is, when you are aligned, you should feel a peace that is so profound, so strong, that the ancient texts describe it as the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. This peace is meant to guard your hearts and your minds. So that's why when that peace finally flows back in, flooding the space where the confusion and the anxiety once lived, you know the divine hand was at work. However small the step was to create that distance, the massive return of peace is the universe's ultimate sign of its hand at work. It's the proof you were praying for. If you notice that your mind is calmer, your spirit is undeniably lighter, and your focus is suddenly sharper once this person is out of your immediate orbit, if the daily drama has simply evaporated, then that is not a lucky break. No, that is confirmation. Think about it. He ran like his life depended on it to remove the distraction. And now, finally, you can run your own race. The divine removes to restore. He takes away the drain so he can fill you up with his purpose again. That renewed, profound, unshakable peace is the ultimate evidence that he was protecting your purpose all along. It's the feeling of coming home to yourself. And the journey of deeper understanding continues. To ensure you keep receiving the truths and insights that help you maintain this sacred peace and stay aligned with your highest path, subscribe and turn on notifications. Don't miss the next revelation that is waiting for you. And anyway, so here's the truth, the one we started with, the one we need to finish with. Not everyone who walks into your life was sent by a loving, guiding force. Some were lessons, some were distractions, some were merely temporary shadows passing through. But here is the profound, gentle promise. When the divine begins to remove someone, it is never rejection. It is always, always protection. But why? Why does it feel so hard to let go? Because your heart is kind, because you believe in second chances. But the real question, the one that requires the most courage, is this. Will you keep holding on to what he is clearly trying to take away? Will you continue to grip the anchor, even though you know it's sinking your ship? Or will you trust him enough to finally let go? Just imagine what the other side of that release feels like. The freedom, the clarity, the lightness. Perhaps your greatest breakthrough, the moment your life finally clicks into focus and starts moving at the speed of your destiny, is waiting just on the other side of release. And that's where the story truly begins, when you trust the hand that protects you. And finally, a challenge. If this message resonated, you are not alone. There are countless others on this same path of discernment and release. Share this video right now to find and connect with the other powerful souls who are choosing protection over distraction. Let's build a community of clarity together. So if this message spoke to you, if you felt that nudge, that validation in your soul, I invite you to make a declaration. Drop the word trust right now. Let it be your quiet, powerful declaration that you are ready to let go of what the divine never intended to stay. It's your moment to step fully and lightly into your purpose. And meanwhile, don't forget that this journey requires ongoing guidance. Subscribe for more faith-filled messages that will keep you aligned, connected, and running freely toward your beautiful, incredible purpose.